It's just a typo. They think it means something deeper. What do you mean it's not interesting? What is it supposed to indicate? What's the hidden message behind an extra period? Oh my god. You know what we should do? Does anybody have the link to the Q forms? Does anybody have the link to the Q forms? Can we go check it out? Does anybody have? I gotta look at the Q mega threads about this, okay? And then we'll wrap up. We'll move on. I swear to God. I swear to God. We'll look at the Q forms, and then we'll move on, okay? We have to look at the Q. And God, we have to look at the Q forms. Does anybody know the website link, or does anybody have the website link to the Q forms? I do not. Yeah, okay, thank you. Patriots.win. Okay. Okay. Let's check it out. Okay, top one right here. Or wait, there's a bunch of threads. Let's see, which thread do we start with? This is the mega thread. Okay, so let's check out the mega thread. It's right here. Breaking news, Manhattan grand jury indicts Trump. Okay, let's see. I'm sure these guys will be calm and reflective in how they talk about this, okay? So for those of you who don't know, wait, this is Patriot.win. This isn't, is this the Q one? No, I think this is just the Trump one. This isn't the Q one, is it? Or is this the Q one? Oh, does it really matter? It's all the same anyway. It's all the same anyway. What's the difference? Nah, it's not Q. Does anybody have the Q one? I know there's a Q board, and I don't know the name of it. Great and not awakening.win. If somebody could type that in chat, we'll go there quick. Let's look at this one first. Fucking witch hunt will never end. I support President Trump. I did yesterday and I will tomorrow. I used to support Trump. I still do, but I used to too. I'm gonna come. Do not come. I'm gonna come. Heart. This is a masterpiece. Good work, Fwen. Keck. I came. I don't know if I believe in universal suffrage. You know, like for everyone, like all these people to everyone. Okay. I like school buses. I like turtles. I love lamp. The yellow ones. Stop Asian hate. Do not camel toe. Do not come. I'm gonna come. Do it. And then a actual serious, very long, like paragraph post. Dude, my goodness, isn't it crazy that these people couldn't organize an effective resistance to the indictment? These people couldn't organize a picnic, much less a resistance movement, man. I am not that scared of a civil war, man. These guys are not going to be raiding Harper's Ferry. Oh my goodness. Get ready for blue states to begin passing legislation to ban Trump's name from their ballots. I promise you all, this is where they're going with this. That was always the goal. System is breaking its own rules to protect itself and keep the people enslaved. Stupid leftist idiots with low attention span and no critical thinking skills will applaud it. I mean, I am a stupid leftist idiot. He's got a point there. Till they realized too late they were cutting their own throats because they were tricked into it. The system is breaking itself down in the process. No legitimacy with no one willing to defeat it means a power vacuum. Paycheck be... Dude, I'm sorry, like, the idea that, like, the Patriots resistance movement that was unbreakable until now fell apart because your guy couldn't keep his penis in his pants, and then he ended up paying off prostitutes with campaign money. I don't know, man. Feels like you're betting on the wrong ship. It feels like you're betting on not the safest bet. Okay, but that's the boring board. That's just the Trump board. This is the Q board. This is the board I have to see. This is the board I got to check out. Okay, let's see. Let's see, what do they got? Okay, here's one. Did they just indict Trump to distract normies away from the terrorist T-slur? Timing sure is suspicious. Okay, so this thread seems to be saying that the indictment of Trump is to distract people from the shooter who shot up that Christian school in Tennessee, who was trans. And so that the Manhattan's district attorney's office coordinated with somebody, I guess, to have this 5-year investigation culminate in this moment just after the Nashville shooting to distract from it. So like when the investigation started, was it like started with the original intent that one day there would be an event that they needed to distract from? Or was it an investigation that was started, that was culminated, and then they chose to make it culminate in this moment right now to distract from? Who coordinated this? Because I don't know what the Manhattan District Attorney Office has to do with Nashville, Tennessee, or the shooting. I don't know how those two things are really related at all, or what authority he would even have in that respect. Not to mention that when you indict somebody, you still have to have a case. So if they're just doing this with no case, all they're going to do is fluff up Trump's image and make him look like he's actually politically persecuted. It doesn't really make much sense, but whatever. This whole trans terrorist thing must have really been hurting them in the polls, because they just unleashed a Trump indictment to distract everyone. They need some sort of boost since the Jan 6 trans Trump narrative has been imploding on them in the past. Okay, 1 second. What is the J6 trans Trump narrative? Am I just not terminally online enough? What is the J6 trans Trump narrative? Where did these three things coalesce into like a single narrative? Because like J6 is an event in a day in history. Trans is just like a category of people, and Trump is a single person. How do these things culminate together? I don't understand. You're distracted by the news. What else? Laser pens, cat toy. I don't think he meant to post this wrestling spotlight segment. It's a good point though. You get distracted easily. This is what I said. It all makes sense now. That's why they indicted Trump. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Let me finish the comment before I bully the person who said it. This is from Gigi Rocks. This is what I said. It all makes sense now. That's why the indicted Trump. I think he meant they, but he said the. When these fools protest and burn stuff, they will say it's the Patriots over Trump. They are so predictable. Yep, predictability is the only ability. Trust me. From General Michael Flynn. So the thing that gets me about this, do you know how many mass shootings are very common in the United States? And there has been instances where, like, remember that one person went to that Republican baseball game where Republican legislators were like practicing baseball and he tried to like shoot up the place? What about like all those like left wingers who like rioted? So there's so many other moments that they could have pulled the trigger on this, but instead they pulled the trigger on this, a mass shooting. If you go look and listen to Democrats and how they've been reacting to the mass shooting, most of elected Democrats have been responding to it by calling for gun control, which is what they do after every mass shooting. And what Republicans do after every mass shooting is do everything they possibly physically can to defend everybody's rights to own a gun with zero pushback upon it. Well, not with zero pushback, but with zero restrictions upon people's ability to gather firearms. Like, that's the back and forth after every single mass shooting. Why would they, with this specific mass shooting, just because the shooter is trans, now need to divert from that and be like, no, now we need to somehow tie this to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office? This isn't the first time a shooter has been trans before. There's been other trans shooters. I think there's at least been one other trans shooter. Why didn't they do it then? I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me. I think these QAnon people might, have trust issues, might not be that based in material reality, maybe a little bit. I might be getting ahead of myself. They need to distract from the Petro-Yan. Oh, I think they're trying to, they're falling apart of the dollar as the U.S. reserve currency. You see, I love how everybody has a different theory that it's not possible that Trump committed a crime and they're indicting him for it. The only excuse for this is that they're using it to distract from something, right? And now all of them are just going to have their own theories, right? You could say anything. I could say like the reason why they did this was to distract from the fact that Vladimir Zelensky invited Xi to Kiev. This is to distract from the burgeoning Ukrainian, Chinese alliance. You could say anything and fill this blank. This is like a fill your own adventure book. That's what they're doing with explanations as to why this is happening. The first indictment on Seal will trigger mass population awakening. I'm sure it will, Pepe C. The laser pens and cat toy guys, pretty funny. True. There has been something else they are doing that we don't know about yet. Keeping our eyes here so we don't see what they are doing here. How about this? Unrest in Israel over government, and Bibi told Joe he won't tolerate any interference. Libya claims sovereignty and wants to break up with France. Ghana PM told Kamala they are sovereign and don't need any help from her and her agenda, women's rights or whatever she was trying to say. Kenya on the news talking about joining BRICS and advertising to get rid of dollars because the financial landscape will be changing. Exciting times. Look here, not there. So is this so? Okay, what is the distraction? Is it a distraction from every single piece of news? This is the thing, and I always hated like they're just doing this to distract from this. I always hated this shit when they talk about like breaking news, because there are always going to be big stories in the news at any point in history. Any point in time, you point at a day in history and you look at the events that happened that day that are newsworthy. There are always things that are newsworthy in the news. There is no day that this story could have dropped that people wouldn't have said, oh, this is to distract from this. This is to distract from that. This is to distract from this other story that the Democrats don't want you to know about. Like, you can do this at any day in history, but that's all it took for these people. That's all it took to them to just start speculating randomly. My goodness. Not everything is a distraction. Patriots are in control, or did we forget that? Oh my, he's the true believer, this guy. He thinks it's all still on plan. It's all still in plan. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, boys. It's all still in the plan. Okay. Here it is, the storm. Wait, they're saying this is the storm? 0 day. Grand jury votes to indict Trump. The storm has arrived. Okay, so as far as I know, the storm in QAnon lore, the storm is supposed to be the day of reckoning. It's supposed to be the day when the military overthrows the deep state at the behest of Donald Trump, who's fighting a secret war against the deep state child diddling cabal, right? And the storm is not supposed to represent Stormy Daniels. It's supposed to represent that day of reckoning. I don't know why Donald Trump getting indicted for crimes would be the start of the storm. It feels like Donald Trump's never been in a weaker position, at least legally speaking. I don't know why this would be the start. Carrie Lake commented. What did Carrie Lake have to say? I'm actually curious. They just indicted President Trump. Unfortunately for them, this will only make him, period, stronger, period. I feel like that was a typo. I don't think I could possibly support him more, but this political witch hunt only strengthens our resolve to fight. We've got your back, Mr. President. Mr. President, you can shellac any number of sex workers you want to. Mr. President, I don't think you should just be able to use campaign finances to pay off prostitutes. I think you should be able to use tax dollars to pay off prostitutes. Mr. President, I would be honored if you took money out of the Social Security of millions of Americans and used it to pay off Vietnamese sex workers next time you're out of the town. Like, what? My God, they're all so cucked. So cucked. Wait 1 second. They said extra period after him. Yeah, I caught that too. And if this was a hurried tweet on a mobile device or something, the period after him would have then capitalized the S in stronger. Interesting. Wait. It's just a typo. They think it means something deeper. What do you mean it's not interesting? What is it supposed to indicate? What's the hidden message behind an extra period? Do they have to find the extra message in everything? Does everything have to be a Tom Clancy novel? Will this wake up the sleepers? First indictment unseal will trigger mass population awakening. First arrest will verify action and confirm further direction. They will fight you but you are ready. Maker 9. Q. Okay, so this is an old Q drop from 2019. This is from before when Trump went down. This is an old Q drop. So many Q people will look at the Q drops as if they're the Bible, right? And so what they'll do is they'll go to these Q drops and they'll look for like hidden meaning, like many people do with the Bible. You know how many people say like Bibles or stories, they're supposed to tell us stuff. They do that with the Q drops as well. And so when stuff happens, they're going to go through all the old Q drops and try to find something that could indicate that things are going okay and the judgment day, the storm is still coming, and they're not all just deranged lunatics who have thrown away their relationships with their families for an internet cult and are wasting their final days alive, right? And this is an example of them doing that, saying the first indictment unseal will trigger mass population awakening. So most likely, this will not trigger mass population awakening. I don't even know what that really even means. Awakening to what? It's not said in the Q drop. Originally, the Q drops were a lot more specific about what would happen. Then they became a lot more vague. And the reason they became a lot more vague is because when Q would predict something specific and then it wouldn't happen because he's not like a real thing. It's not, he doesn't actually have Q level clearance as many people allege. He is not like a real, this is not like a real undercover guy unveiling the deep state. It's just an internet board posting unhinged schizophrenic ramblings. But he made them more vague after those specific predictions didn't come true, because he wanted to make it so no matter what happens, there could be people in the Q movement who are like, aha, see, if you interpret it this way, that it actually did come true. And that's what's happening right now. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. Most people in this forum are far smarter than me. I'll take any bullseye I can get. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Popcorn sales through the roof. Edit. I guess they waited until the outrage died down a bit to move forward. I'm thinking they wanted to do it in secret. They are stupider than I ever imagined. Stunning, amazing, non-self-reflective statement from the Q boards. Stunning levels of stupidity. I thought they took a month break. I thought so too. Maybe White House forced the issue because they need that first indictment to trigger the unsealing. Again, the White House cannot force the Manhattan's District Attorney's Office to unseal this. This is completely outside the hands of the federal government. This was already looked into by the federal government. This is completely on the state level. Joe Biden has no authority over what happens with this case. Yep, they can't possibly think they win a hot war, so they are relying on gaslighting people into believing another nonviolent protest was violent, because it worked once. I don't even know what this is referring to. April Fools, my president is a genius. The show is getting real good. But it's not even April Fools. April Fools is April 1st. It's the 29th of March. Not even April Fool. You can't say April Fools when it's not April Fools. It can't be an April Fools. Whatever. Only Anons would be happy about this. We know the game and we love watching the movie. Now when the former presidents are arrested and the normies will be conditioned to think it's not a big deal when they are indicted for serious crimes against humanity. Meanwhile, Trump was indicted for, now hear me out, a Stormy Daniels payment. I love this movie. See, this is a true believer. These people still exist. It's the 30th, Dylan? 30th where I am? Oh, it is still okay, it's the 30th, but it's still not April 1st. This is a true believer. He believes that this arrest for Donald Trump is part of Trump's longer scheme, part of his longer plan. So he believes that the arrest of Trump will desensitize the American public into the idea of former presidents being arrested. So then when Trump finally takes out the Uno reverse card and shows it to the public and like flashes the card and everybody's in shock and everybody else gets arrested for their crimes against humanity, like gay marriage or whatever. I don't know what these crimes would be. I'm going to be honest. I mean, like maybe you could get the crime of aggression, like against like Bush for invading Iraq. I don't know what else. Then he arrests them, and that shows that it was all just part of his Grandmaster Long plan. And the reason he's getting indicted for the Stormy Daniels payment is because it's a signal to the Qers with the word storm, because the idea is one day the storm is coming, which references this kind of upcoming military coup against the corrupt establishment. Kind of similar to what happened in Myanmar. I don't know if you guys remember, but one of these Qers went to, I think it was Michael Flynn, while he was speaking at a Q event, because of course Michael Flynn was speaking at a Q event. He even once took the Q pledge, and he was asked if we should have a Myanmar-style military coup in the United States. Now, the military in Myanmar has been engaged in genocide against Rohingya Muslims.
Burns
they have killed
immoral,
tons of protesters.
Corrupt,
they have been involved in the horrific bombing of villages all across the country in order to try to strangle support to rebels. They have, I mean, they have made speaking out against the government illegal. They have criminalized protest. They have arrested and tortured protesters, and if anybody joins rebels, they'll go after their families to try to pressure them. And Michael Flynn reacts to that. Again, this is the former national security advisor of Donald Trump. And he says, I don't see why not. We should have a coup like that in the United States. Which is really concerning, considering that person was being put in a position of power under Donald Trump. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Donald Trump acts so much like an Eastern European oligarch. Whatever reinforces his own power, he does. He'll align with any ideological bloc if it means that he can hold on to power. Janelle, 1978. Thank you so much for the tier 1. I appreciate it. Weapons green boomerang inbound. There's them posting about the store. It's here finally, go time. Am I the only one glad this happened? It sets a precedent for other presidents to be arrested for real crimes. Dude, right here. Oh my gosh, I agree with him, but I agree with him for all the wrong reasons. I agree with him because, yes, I want there to be a president where presidents are arrested for crimes. But the reason he wants it is because he thinks that Donald Trump can turn this around and arrest all of his opponents, and he can get out of it scot-free. My goodness, he's like, he's right, but for all the wrong reasons. I thought they took off a month from the Independent. Me thinks there's no indictment. This is only to besmirch and give bad press to Donald Trump. It'll only do the opposite. What do you mean? It's an indictment. They've announced the indictment. The Republicans are reacting to the indictment. The indictment's real. It's not fake. Whatever. We got anything else? We got anything else from the Q boards before we move on? This stuff's pretty funny though, man. They genuinely still think that they've all got everything in control. Remember though, Q was like saying that like Donald Trump would stay president after 2020, and he didn't. There are a few diehard like fundamentalist Qers who believe Donald Trump is still president. But then you'll ask them like, oh, what about all these things that happened in the country? Like the withdrawal from Afghanistan, was that managed by Trump? No, that's Biden's fault. But if Trump's still president, then how is it Biden's fault? Those are the fundamentalists though. Most have broken with the original Q stuff somewhat and are now, I don't know, maybe a little bit more free form in their interpretation of the Q scripture and Q ideology, and are trying to find new ways for how Donald Trump is fighting the deep state since 2020 just didn't pan out. And so this is their desperate attempt to try to interpret Trump possibly like doing a perp walk in a positive way.